The following is a sponsored program paid for by Robin Gwaltney, Gwaltney Group, RE/MAX Results. Welcome to Rochester Real Estate, featuring Robin Gwaltney from Gwaltney Group RE/MAX Results and Andy Brownell. Here's Andy Brownell on Rochester's News Talk, 1340 KROC AM and 96.9 FM.
Good morning, Andy Brownell here on News Talk 1340 KROC AM and 96.9 FM. Another Saturday morning with Robin Gwaltney, Gwaltney Group RE/MAX Results.
Good morning.
Morning, Robin.
How are you?
I am well. It's a weekend.
It is.
So I've been watching your industry or profession, like many others, and have seen the introduction of technology in almost every aspect of it. My industry has certainly been revolutionized by it. I imagine it's the same for the real estate industry.
Absolutely. And, you know, it's one of those things where it's sort of a double-edged sword,
Oh, yeah.
right? It's like you have to be using the technology to stay on pace and, you know, compete with other agents and other companies. But at the same time, you never want to lose that personal factor either. You know, we preach and preach about how we're so into relationships. And so you want to stay face to face. You want to talk with we do. Some people think it's perfectly fine not to have face-to-face with their customers and not to talk with them, but it's the way we prefer to do it. But at the same time, you have to use the technology too.
Well, it's a tool.
It is. Yep, exactly.
But I can't even imagine that I would take what is my most valuable investment, the largest purchase I've ever made, and not actually sit down and speak with the person or persons who I'm going to work with to sell this.
It is crazy. There is some new concept, and I cannot embrace it, that they want to list your house. All right, so now let's pretend your house is for sale, and I work with this technology-based real estate company. I would tell you what your house is worth basically by looking at what your neighbors have sold for and looking maybe at the outside of it. If they don't want to come here from the Twin Cities, then maybe they'll just take a Google Maps picture. But they're not going to come and look at your house and get a feel for how well it's maintained or how well it shows or what the size of the rooms are, anything. They're going to tell you what it's worth, and then they're going to send you a contract, and you're going to sign it all electronically. You're not going to meet them. And then when they do an open house, this one just kills me. They're going to have a lock on your door that they can control remotely so that anytime somebody wants to see the house, they can go without an agent, and the agent that's listing it can remotely unlock your door and let some random buyer, go walking through your house by themselves while they're watching them on a video camera. Well, we've all seen video cameras, and they can't cover every inch of every room of the house, but this is a thing, and they think this is a good thing.
I'm not in that boat, that's for sure. That just gives me the creeps.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I'm like, I think we need to be a little more, and it's like, great, you want to show how much we can do with technology, and that's all fine and well. And like you said, it is a tool, but it doesn't replace the human factor, and it doesn't replace the, let's sit down and talk about what your concerns are or what your timeline is, and let's make a game plan together in marketing your property. So it's a different ballgame.
Well, I envision that if you're going to take this process and push it forward a few years out, it's going to be no human contact at all. It'll be an artificial intelligence and some cloud-based computer that you're dealing with that makes these decisions and operates all this. And I know that's sci-fi, but it's not that far away.
Right, and that's exactly what I've been hearing the entire 20 years that I have been in real estate, okay? That, it won't be long and we won't even need realtors. Realtors will be a thing of the past. Everything will be done by computer. And that time has not come, and it's quite interesting because when you look at surveys taken by people who have purchased and sold homes, like one of their biggest complaint is not enough one-on-one contact with their agent, not enough response, not enough conversation, not quick enough callback, if any callback, not answering the phones. So it's like people are clearly screaming out that the human factor in that relationship is really what's of utmost importance to them.
And I think it's not just real estate.
Of course not.
I think it's everywhere. People are starved for what you're talking about.
Exactly. It's like the good old-fashioned customer service. It's so crazy how when we have somebody go above and beyond what we expect, whether we're in a restaurant or at a hotel or in the grocery store, anywhere, it's such a thrill, isn't it? I mean, it's such a thrill.
Right.
I think about when I was a kid and you were a kid. When I was 13 years old, I would babysit, and I think at that time I was getting paid either 50 cents or 75 cents an hour.
And you felt pretty good about that.
Oh my gosh, I was thrilled. But not only that, I would come to that house and I would bring projects for the kids to do, and we would, make something. I would read books. I would cook them dinner, and then I would put them to bed, and then I would clean the house from top to bottom, and I was thrilled to get my 50 cents or 75 cents an hour, whatever it was. It's like that was always way more than was expected, but that's just how I was raised. It's like, do what you're expected to do and then do some more. And I think that has been the secret to our success, is that we've never lost that customer service. We've never lost that connection with our clients. And no matter how techie we get and all the, great apps we have and all the videos we can make and answer people by video instead of by phone call and all of that, that's all great. But we're never going to stop with our human relationships.
You mentioned all the tools that you have at your disposal.
Yeah, of course.
I enjoy that when it's appropriate.
Right.
When I'm in a hurry, somehow this thing is happening and we can't get together, we have an option.
Right.
But I think the face-to-face is always going to be my first preference.
Exactly. And, a lot of agents will criticize those of us that still do things the old-fashioned way. Like if I have an offer on someone's house, I am very happy to take that offer to their home and sit at their kitchen table with it and go over the logistics of the offer. Some agents are like, oh my gosh, would your attorney come to your house? Would your doctor come to your house? And I'm like, but I'm not an attorney and I'm not a doctor.
Well, I would still prefer that they did.
Yeah, well. It'd be nice, right? I mean, I feel that I am a real estate agent, which is a service provider, not a salesperson. It's a service I provide. So of course I'm going to make it most convenient. And if this is a family that has kids that are going to bed now, or it's an older couple and they don't like to drive past dark, or for whatever reason, I just want to do what's most convenient for my clients.
And I've seen or heard that, as this next generation comes up, the millennials or even past the millennials, that all the things that we're talking about will become passé and they won't be needed, and these younger folks don't care. And I'm actually finding that to be absolutely false.
False.
That they actually, when they do have an opportunity to have that personal service, they're astounded and enjoy it completely.
That is my point exactly. It's like those little things that used to be the norm and what you expected. Now when you get it, you're like thrilled because people feel like, oh, they actually want me to visit with them, so it's good. I think it's really good that we are going back to the more personal way of doing business.
Specific
a lot of places.
To real estate specifically, if I were to sell my home, I would want to have that opportunity. I know it's corny, but I would like to have the opportunity to share the stories of my home a little bit with somebody.
Right.
So they understand.
Oh, it's not corny, and it's real. I mean, for agents to go in and treat the sale of a home like a business transaction and take the personal human part of it out, that is a very big mistake because there is a lot of emotion tied to selling a home. Yeah. And especially if it's a home where you've been for a while and you've maybe raised your children or, things happen there, milestone things in your life happen there, and it shouldn't be tied to the house because it's not, but it is. In our hearts, it is.
I don't think you can separate that.
You can't separate it.
The personal touch.
Yep, I agree.
Well, I think I talked to you previously and told you a story about a member of my family that is of that younger set. And this wasn't real estate, but it was insurance. They're finally at that age where they have to buy insurance.
Yeah.
And I kind of said, hey, this is a person I've dealt with for years and years and years. Maybe you should talk to them. Okay. And then I said, well, if you're worried about the price, maybe you should go around and shop and look at some of these things you see on television advertising or even on the radio advertising. And this family member's response was, no, Dad, So I gave it away, didn't I? It's my
Yeah.
daughter.
Yeah, if she called you dad.
Pretty good hit. I'd rather deal with somebody I can talk to firsthand and have a relationship with.
And that's because she
That's a millennial.
learned. She learned by watching you, right? She learned the importance of relationships, and I feel like that's a gift I've given to my kids as well. You know, I look at the longevity of their friendships, and the friends that they were friends with in middle school and high school, they're still friends with now as 30-year-olds, right? And I think that's really good. I think the real, true relationships are very important in our lives.
And we can talk about relationships with your realtor when we get back. More with Robin Gwaltney, Gwaltney Group RE/MAX results right after this really quick break on News Talk 1340, KROC AM and 96.9 FM.
We'll be right back with Robin Gwaltney and Andy Brownell on Rochester Real Estate. This is News Talk 1340, KROC AM and 96.9 FM. Welcome back to Rochester Real Estate with Robin Gwaltney from Gwaltney Group RE/MAX Results and Andy Brownell on Rochester's News Talk 1340 KROC AM and 96.9 FM.
Welcome back. Andy Brownell with Robin Gwaltney, Gwaltney Group RE/MAX Results. Robin, I'd like to prefer to think that the holidays are a ways off, but you reminded me during the break that
Yeah, we're in
it's
the middle of
sneaking up on us
October.
really fast.
It's crazy. The middle of October means 1 month is the middle of November, and then it's Thanksgiving, and then it's Christmas.
Yeah,
I mean,
I know. Time marches on.
yeah, it flies by is what it does.
But we still have decent weather.
Yep.
And
It
I
is.
imagine that the homes are still selling and people are still buying. But
Definitely.
I imagine that when we get to past Thanksgiving toward the Christmas holidays, that things naturally slow down. People travel a lot. They're here and there.
Well, it
and
gets
they've got
dark
all
so
this-
early.
yeah.
By that time of the year, it's dark so early, and a lot of times people don't want to go looking at houses in the pitch dark. You want to be able to see what the outside of the house looks like, what
Yep.
the yard looks like, what the neighborhood feels like. So people will tend to take vacation time to look at houses during their work day rather than after work, just because of the sunlight. So it's kind of a time that frees us up a little bit, because instead of working until 9 o'clock at night, we're working until 6 or 6:30. And so we're finding ourselves with a little more free time. So
Well,
that's
free
not,
time's-
not bad. Yeah.
So what do you do with all that free time?
Well, we try to do as much good as we can, as much as we can to help other people. So you've heard me say over and over and over, at the Gwaltney Group, we do a lot of volunteering, a lot of giving back to the community. It's something we expect from our team members. It's part of being part of the Gwaltney Group, is you have to want to immerse yourself into the betterment of our community. And so I feel like there's a lot of opportunities out there, and especially with the holidays approaching, different organizations do special things for the holidays. They adopt the family kind of things, and they're looking for volunteers for this or for that. And that's something that we always jump on board with. So if anybody who's listening happens to be a part of one of those organizations that could use, man hours or sponsoring of a family or anything that we could do as a group, we're a large group of people. There's 30 agents or 30 members of the Gwaltney Group, and we have amazing spouses and adult children. So if anybody is looking for a large pool of volunteers for different projects or, events throughout the holiday season, please call on us, because we really do love to get involved and give back to this community.
An army of volunteers, it sounds like. Mm-hmm. Have you done this in the past?
We have. Definitely we have. And we've had the opportunity several weeks to go over to the food kitchen or food, I don't know what
The
you
one at
call
Bethel
it.
Lutheran?
Yes, and it's so nice because we can go to an earlier shift in the day where we pack up the bags of food for the people who are coming, and then others of us will go in the later shift where we distribute it to the people as they come to pick it up. And it feels so good to be able to help.
Oh, yeah.
And we've helped with Toys for Tots, I believe it was, where we were called to assemble some bikes and some things like that. That was not my cup of tea,
You were
but
being the elf.
there are other people. Yeah, there you go. There are other people that are really handy on the team. But there's there's lots of things that people, I mean, I've been involved with nonprofit organizations enough to know that there's certain events where you just need to pull in outside volunteers in addition to your committees, in addition to your board members, in addition to your staff. And I just want it to be known that that's something that we here at the Gwaltney Group are all about doing.
And this time, that time of the year, I've already made the leap.
Well, I mean, people are usually planning a month or two out, and here
true.
we're at the middle of October. It's not that far.
So rather than the last minute call for help,
exactly.
now you have noticed that a couple months ahead of time, here's an opportunity.
We'll do things like we always ring bells for the Salvation Army, and we have so much fun doing that. I mean, there's lots of cool stuff you can do.
So if you're interested in talking to somebody from the Gwaltney Group to help out this holiday season, do they just give you a call or go to the website?
Our website or my phone number. Get a hold of any one of the Gwaltney Group team members, and they'll bring it back to our weekly team meetings. And
all right,
we'll help out however we can.
We'll take another quick break and come back with Robin Gwaltney, Gwaltney Group RE/MAX results on News Talk 1340 KROC AM and 96.9 FM.
We'll be right back with Robin Gwaltney and Andy Brownell on Rochester Real Estate. This is News Talk 1340 KROC AM and 96.9 FM. Welcome back to Rochester Real Estate with Robin Gwaltney from Gwaltney Group RE/MAX Results and Andy Brownell on Rochester's News Talk 1340 KROC AM and 96.9 FM.
Welcome back. I'm Andy Brownell along with Robin Gwaltney, Gwaltney Group RE/MAX Results on this Saturday morning. Well, you mentioned, Robin, that things get a little bit slower as we head into the holidays. The days get shorter, obviously.
That's the big part, yeah.
And now it's mid-October, and for a person who's out there who may be thinking about putting the house on the market or maybe thinking about buying their new home, should I just hold off and wait until things pick up again in the spring, or should I dive into it?
No. We still have lots of selling season. I think I've mentioned this to you before, but if I look at my productivity charts, there's not a lot of difference. I mean, the months stay pretty steady. Of course, in the spring when the residents come, there's a big, huge peak. And maybe there's a small dip a couple of times in the year, but that's like a week or two, like right through the holidays.
Sure.
And surprisingly enough, like right in the beginning of June. I think school getting out and graduation and all of those kind of things.
We saw the same thing in the school starting, too.
Yeah, exactly. So I think people just have to, we're a small enough community, where people have their routine and we have the same customers. It's not like we live in some metropolitan area where we're working with different clients all the time and we see them once and never see them again. Our customers are repeat business.
Relationships.
And all about relationships. That's exactly right. And I've told you before, and I love when I'm starting to sell houses to children of people that I was selling houses to when I first got in the business, because it's probably the best compliment a person can have, right?
Absolutely.
Like your daughter going
That's
to your daughter going to your insurance man because you were happy. So when my clients' kids come to me because their parents were happy, that means we did something right. That's it. That's just it.
I imagine, but I could be wrong, but do you see folks in the fall now who are saying that, hey, maybe this is the year that I'm going to go somewhere warm during the winter months, and maybe it's time to get rid of the larger home that we raise the kids in and take care of the process before it gets cold?
Yes, and some people say, oh, you know what? I mean, I've had this happen like seriously very recently. Maybe we should wait until spring to put our house on the market because we're gone to Texas all winter long, and then we'd have to worry about keeping our paths shoveled and keeping our driveway shoveled. Well, you know this, Andy. At the Gwaltney Group, we take care of that. So when we have someone's house listed and they're not living there, we have the sidewalks shoveled, we have the driveways plowed. In the summertime, we even have the grass mowed, because if you're not here, you can't maintain it. So instead of you hiring someone to do that, I hire someone to do that.
I think what I'll do is list with you and then go hide in the basement.
The key is you can't be living there. You're funny.
I thought I found an end around and shoveling this year.
There's always a way around, isn't there?
I did not know that you provided that
Oh,
service.
yes, we do. Yeah, it's I feel like that's one of the advantages of our large team. There's power in numbers. We sell so many more houses than any other real estate teams or realtors in town that with that, with the volume that we do and the income that it generates, we can do more for our customers and, still maintain a profit and keep the business growing and going.
I kind of think that might equate too, though, to, a nicely landscaped yard in the summertime. Mm-hmm. That if you come to the home after the snow flies and you see that it's nicely shoveled.
Right. Well, I don't want my name in the driveway or in the yard and then snow right up to the sign. And like you can't even, I've been on the other side of that. I've been the agent taking people out to look at houses when it's not lovely out. Okay. It's cold and the wind is biting and the snow is deep and you're not necessarily dressed in snow boots. And even if you are, they're not knee high. And so when you're trying to tread your way up to the sidewalk, it's bad enough if I have to do it, but if the customer has to do it too, it's embarrassing. And it's embarrassing not to me for the homeowner as much as it is to the name on the sign in the front yard. And when that's my name, I want to make sure that sidewalk is clear and clean and that driveway is cleared out. And when people get there, it presents well.
Going back to what we talked about earlier in the show, the personal touch thing and these new tech companies are involved that they remote you in, you said, on a device,
right.
And the person who's seeing the home is kind of responsible for viewing the home by themselves.
Right.
Well, goodness gracious.
You
that's
get stuck
not
in the
work
driveway,
well.
good luck. That's your problem. Bring your four-wheel drive and your hip waders.
I imagine if you are going to sell your home during these winter months, you better choose somebody like the Gwaltney Group because otherwise that might happen to you.
Well, it's definitely a nice bonus. I mean, for our customers, they really do like it. Then they don't have to, and it's not even the expense of having it plowed out or mowed because it's not crazy expensive, but it's what it is it's the convenience and the no hassle, no headache for them. So if they're in Texas for the winter or they're in Florida for the winter, they're not worried about, they just saw on the news that there's a blizzard in Minnesota. They know that me or someone on my team is going to be checking on that house every week and make sure the furnace is running, make sure everything. Now everybody's got these remote thermostats on their phone so they can see exactly what temperature. Here we go. This is where it's a tool, right? But they can see what the temperature of their house is. But if they don't happen to have that, we still go in and make sure that everything is the way it should be. If it's been sitting empty for a while, I will send somebody in to dust down the countertops. I mean, we want to keep the property in very good showing condition. And luckily, as you know, nothing sits too terribly long these days. Even in the winter, we're thinking, 30 to 60 days, as long as the house is priced right, it's going to sell. But that's still 30 to 60 days, plus then however long it takes for the closing.
Sure.
Right? So that could be another 30 to 60 days. So
but
in essence,
normal, isn't it?
It's normal, but in essence, I'm just saying that could be a long time for somebody who lives remotely to worry about whether or not their snow is being plowed or their grass is knee-high or whatever it is.
But that's, once again, the high-tech tools that you're talking about, that's a great place to employ them when the person is 1,500 miles away.
Right.
And then when you're talking about you can't meet face-to-face, but at least you can have that open communication using technology from a distance.
Well, and I know that as a listing agent, I've had home sellers call me and say, I'm not sure who showed my house today, but they left all my lights on. They didn't lock my front door. I mean, they don't like it. They feel a little bit violated in a sense because it's disrespectful, right? It's their electricity bill. And of course, if their door gets left open, that's frustrating.
Who knows what could happen?
It's frustrating. So I like to always go by my vacant houses and make sure that they're locked up tight, that the heat didn't get cranked up or that the lights didn't get left on, just as a service to my customers.
Is there a difference in selling a home as we head towards the colder months compared to the spring-summer cycle?
Well, I mean, we worry about things. Like we worry about frozen pipes in a vacant house in Minnesota, in the dead of the winter. In June, July, there's not too much to worry about. So
the grass gets longer.
Yeah. I mean, that we put them on a rotation for mowing, but there are things that we do watch because we don't really, if the air conditioning goes out in a house, it's going to get hot and miserable. But if it's a vacant house, it's just hot and miserable. Then you get the air conditioning fixed.
Right.
But if the furnace goes out in the winter, that's a little bit more that's a little bit more of a problem. So we do want to keep a close eye on them.
And the presentation of the house, I know in the summer and the spring, you wish to have, I mean, if you're living in the home while you're trying to sell it, I guess, you wish to have, the lawn manicured and,
Right.
have some landscaping done. In the winter, I suppose it's keep things shoveled.
Right. Exactly. You always want your house to present as good as it possibly can.
So really no difference.
It's not. It's just a different season. That's the glory of Minnesota, is just the different seasons. And like I said, I think the only reason that we do see a little bit of a slowdown in the market is just because we see the shortened days. Yeah. We don't have as much time to go work.
I can see it almost as an advantage as a person who's lived here my entire life, because you get to see how the snow drifts form,
yes,
and how deep the snow is on the driveway.
Exactly.
In the winter months. You
Yep.
can see
No, it's very true. I love to show houses when it's pouring rain outside. It's a pain to get from the car to the house, but it's a really good time to go in and see if there's any water in the basement, if there's anything coming in, or how the water runs up against the house. So you're right.
See it during a hurricane.
Well, we don't have those here, thank goodness.
Well, Robin, until next week, maybe we should review before we go how to get a hold of you if you want to buy or sell a home.
Absolutely. Call me anytime. My cell phone is always on, and that number is 507-259-4926.
All right. Till next week, Robin.
Sounds great, Andy.
I'm Andy Brownell with Robin Gwaltney, Gwaltney Group Remax Results on News Talk 1340, KROC AM and 96.9 FM.